Mehdi Hasan, the host on MSNBC, talks to Stuart Stevens about his project, the Lincoln Project, and how much the founders made. Let's roll that clip.
But I do have to ask you about the Lincoln Project while I have you, which in recent weeks was rocked by allegations of a cover-up of sexual misconduct by one co-founder, side deals worth millions of dollars to its principals, plus a variety of other recriminations, accusations, departures, resignations. Last month, Kurt Bardella, who was a Lincoln Project advisor like you, tweeted, quote, "Just shut it down already. Wow. It's over." And another ex-advisor, Susan del Percio, she told me on this show last week, well, have a listen to what she said.
The Lincoln Project, well, I don't know how it survives this. This is, again, this reporting just shows how dysfunctional the Lincoln Project has become. The people at the top are disappointing, to say the very least, and I just hope they're not found to be criminals.
Stuart, your own former advisors are hoping you're not criminals and calling for you to be shut down. Where does that leave your organization?
Look, I couldn't disagree with that more. I think it's an absurd allegation. The Lincoln Project was the most successful super PAC in the history of America. These guys, and they wrote an op-ed and a movement showed up. They have millions of supporters. They have over 500,000 donors. They've had a tremendous impact in where we are now. And I think that this idea that somehow or another that you expected the Lincoln Project to be something that would be like a perfect organization is unrealistic. This is an organization that had 10 people at the end of May.
Oh, come on, Stuart. Stuart, come on. There's a big difference between being a perfect organization and what the accusations, very serious accusations, that have been leveled against the Lincoln Project. You know that.
Let me talk, please. There is a report that's being investigated about what happened with John Weaver. I think that taking that step shows that they believe in transparency. Let's see what that report says. But the Lincoln Project is something that is bigger than any one individual. It is really something that has become a movement, that is a pro-democratic movement. And there's a lot of people that never liked the Lincoln Project, never liked the way we operated. The fact that we didn't spend, believe that millions and millions more dollars spent on advertising in one market would make the difference. We believed in asymmetrical warfare. We destabilized the President of the United States' campaign. I think that what we did, the effectiveness of it, speaks for itself.
Okay.
And that's going to continue.
All right. So I have a theory. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm not saying what happened is listen, many of these political institutions, once you pull back the curtain, you'll see that they're not the best people in the world. Not every, but many of them.
Politicians are not the best people in the world.
They're not unique. But I remember right after the election, people were worried that these Republicans were essentially taking Democratic data and were going to move it into maybe a revival of the centrist Republican movement to kind of fight off Trumpism. I'm not sure where this all came from. And of course, these allegations are very real. But I feel like this is the death of that revival of the centrist Republican, whatever it was. Jordan, what are your thoughts?
I'll say this, the reason I hated the Lincoln Project, it wasn't because of their annoying ads. It was because it made it so much harder to raise money for actual progressive candidates. They're welcome to go do their ads and, be smug on TV, whatever they want to do. I mean, they shouldn't be harassing people or stealing money, but they made it so much harder. And I do that with the newsletter every week. I did it, for candidates all the time. I'm now working with the candidate for Senate. It's so much harder to raise money when they make these slick ads because they know what they're doing. They helped George Bush's campaign hoodwink people twice. So that's what I really hate them for. They made it so much more difficult. They raised $80 million or something like that. I mean, they stole a quarter of it at least, but they raised $80 million that could have gone to Democratic and progressive candidates had people just really realized. And the problem is, you see Mehdi Hasan, who did a good job grilling him there, but those people, Steve Schmidt's on MSNBC all the time. They are being platformed by plenty of big corporate media organizations that gave them that opportunity to do so. They didn't just appear, they were given all the opportunity in the world. And so my bone to pick with them, other than, them enabling a sexual harasser or worse, is the fact that they debilitated in a lot of ways, a lot of Democratic campaigns and progressive organizations.
And they're not the only ones. There are other groups that are modeled similarly, doing the same thing. And you sit there and you say, I mean, I'm part of an organization that is involved in fundraising. I've worked on campaigns and had my own campaign. It is so hard to build these lists, as you know, Jordan. It is so hard. It requires so much money up front and the right messaging and targeting. And you have to have the consultants who know how to do that and like blah, 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 all this stuff. And they just swooped in. I mean, it was.
And a lot of people on Twitter, the internet, were saying, well, if they're fighting Trump, it's fine with me. Because there's this this inability to like realize that there's other parts of the country and there's other races that need to be won. And, Republicans voted for Trump more than they did in 2016. So I don't know how much they were helping getting, maybe independent voters, good Democrat, but they debilitated the rest of it wasn't just them. There's a lot of mistakes made by Democrats, but, they did not help matters. That's for sure.
Simon, is this the end of the Lincoln Project?
Well, fingers crossed, right? I love how he was like demonstrating like they were the most effective super PAC ever or something like that by saying how many donors they had or how many donations they'd received. When it's like, okay, well, that maybe is a sign of like a very successful grift, but like I don't know. I don't know what people to tell me.
Successful ever for whom?
I think that it's. I really feel like I'm mad at the Lincoln Project, obviously, but I can't. It's like if it weren't them, it would be someone else. Like there's always going to be someone who's grifting, and I think I'm more mad at like the media and just like the broader political space for saying that being anti-Trump was like the only thing, like that was the benchmark for like good politics, and it allows the Lincoln Project to show up and that's their only thing. And a lot of people just jumped on board and handed over their money to something they got no returns from.
I mean, my Republican family members who voted for Biden didn't do it because of the Lincoln Project. So just if that was the strategy, like Biden was the anti-Trump, I think any Democrat that would have won, maybe with the exception of Bernie, my family would have voted for my Republican family members, which is a whole other boondoggle that we can talk about. But Jordan, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, Simon's right in the sense that it would have been someone else. And I think there's a lot of education to be done on the left maybe not on the left, but with Democratic voters who realize like the enemy of your enemy doesn't have to be invited over to steal from your house. It's you can say, hey, good luck. Thanks. We appreciate that. Let us know. But they did a lot of these just commercials that were just so soothing to, resistance liberals that they felt like made them feel smart, made them feel like they were superior. And it raised so much money, and it was like a real status symbol. We got Republicans on our side because it's an inferiority complex, I think, for people who are mainstream Democrats. So.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Nomiki Show. But remember to click like and subscribe on YouTube, and please share on social media. If you're not already a patron, please join us for as low as $5 a month on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for early and special content. That investment makes a huge difference. We are not corporate media raking in the dough. It's really you guys that are keeping us going. So please consider being a patron. And to our current patrons, thank you so much. We are incredibly grateful to you. We also now have swag. So check us out on thenomikishow.com to get your mugs, your totes, and your stickers.